and welcome to Crafting with Jane. Today we are using up scraps, as in what I do is when I have, so I've been using, as you know, the new Indigo Blue boxed kit magazine box kit number 7. So when I've finished with any sort of little scraps of paper and things, I always have an envelope and I put all of the bits in there so I don't lose them, because I know that I can use them for other things. So I have got here a card blank that we're going to use, but a little bit of paper that I was using the other day, some die cuts which I did and then I decided not to use, some bits that were over from the Father's Day card that I did, some birds that I was experimenting with colouring and I just thought that that would actually go with there, and then some little tiny scraps of paper because, you know, even this little thistleum thing, I think I can use that in something. So I thought that that's what we would work with today. And I've got a little scrap of ribbon because, again, I thought that those colours might work quite nicely. So we're going to start with, let me take my die out of the way that I was using earlier on. We're going to start with just what's going to be the card blank base. And that's whatever colour you want to use. And I'm going to use this stencil. I haven't used this one yet, and I'm going to pop it straight down. Just thinking this is probably going to come down on here, isn't it? So it's probably going to cover most of it. Okay, I'm going to have it on that side then. So let's have a look and see what that's like. And I've chosen two colours, a beigey colour, but quite a soft beige, and a soft green colour, because I want that to come into the background. This is quite dark, so I want what comes behind to be quite pale, because you don't want all of the colours to be the same, so this is the focal point and it sort of stands out a bit more. So let me just get, I want a beige, don't I? That's probably going to be about the right sort of beige. Not quite sure it's exactly the right one, but it'll, let me make sure I haven't got too much ink on it. No, I haven't, that's fine. I think I did it in a soft grey, but that's fine. So this is a soft beige, and I'm literally just going to take it through on here. And just see what that comes up. I've still got some of the pale grey on my sponge dauber, but that doesn't matter because it's quite nice to just do the colours. Let's take that off. Oh yes, I quite like that. In fact, I might do it right the way across, and then that'll be sort of our first layer. So we're going to have the stencil as our first layer, and again you could use embossing paste if you wanted to. Say if you look back on my videos, you can see I've been making embossing paste, which you can do in any colour you want. And okay, that's nice. So we've got all of that lovely pattern across the back, so that'll start on there. Then I want to have, and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to do that over the top, because I think that that will work as well. So let me just open this one up, and this is a softer sort of green, which, as I say, I think will work quite well. So let's stamp that out. Now when it's quite big, if I can't sort of fit that in, I do tend to just, oh yes, that's nice, turn it on its side, because I'm not the greatest at being able to line things up otherwise. So I turn it that way and then turn that on there. Now you see that's lovely. I love that working over each other because they're quite soft colours, and I don't want anything that's too dark. Now am I going to do, I think I'm going to do round, while I've got this green out, I'm going to do just round the edges. So I've then got that done. It's quite a pale green, isn't it? I think that's probably about... So I'm doing it so that it's taking it sort of from the edges, just all the way around. Because I just want to just soften them just a little bit. And this is why I use this funny old green mat, because it's lovely for doing the edges, and I've had it, oh, I don't know, donkey's years, and it's the sort of thing that I have one which is an old one, and I have one which is a newer one, and I just do it so that it's that's fine. That's all I want, just to soften that edge in there a bit. Okay, so that's that bit. I need to probably leave this out because I might be using some other bits on it. Put that out of the way. Okay, so that's sort of our background, and then I want some of this, so I'm going to just tear, I want it fairly big, I think, so I'm just going to tear it down a bit so we've got some nice sort of rough edges. And again, you know, you can save all of the pieces, you don't have to... I want it about that length, maybe just a little bit longer. I can always trim it down afterwards. You can always save your little bits just for going in afterwards, just a little tiny strip here, a strip there. You don't have to waste anything really. I'm really... There we go, let's put that in on there. Now I could do just something on there, couldn't I, to just add a little bit of texture. Yes, I'm going to do, let's take the other, I could do some leaves, but I love this, as you know, the circles. I'm obsessed with these circles. I think they're lovely. I'm going to do it in the green, and it's not going to be, it's going to be quite subtle, I think, because this is quite pale, but hopefully, yes, it's just going to be enough that it's going to give just a little bit of colour coming through, to just give a little bit of interest and texture. A lot of this is going to be covered up, but it doesn't matter. It's just because it's got just a little bit of something on there. So that's just given. I'm just going to take just a tiny little bit of these sort of splattery bits just along in on here, like that, and then because we've missed this on here, right in on that corner. So I just want to take, whoops, sliding about everywhere. Let's take that. I want that little one like that. I'm going to do it again up on there. That's perfect, and maybe down in on here on the bottom. Like that. That's fine. So that's just given it a little bit of texture in on there, which is what we want. So we can then put that in there. That's made it just a little bit more interesting, hasn't it? My bird's going to be my focal point, but I want to use up quite a few of these little tiny little bits and scraps and things that I've got. So this is where we get our scissors out. I've got this as well, so I wanted to try and take, yeah, I think I might just cut this down a bit. Let's cut this just straight in half, because then we can just take some bits and pieces of it as we want. And I might only use just half of it, just in on there. I think, like, or do I put it on top? I could put it on top, couldn't I? And then have things going over it, yes. Okay, I'm just going to start layering some of these down, I think, although I want to have some ribbon and things on there. So I'm going to do this bit separately, because then if I want to add something in on there, I can do. Now, this is where we just sort of add bits and pieces. So I don't need too much glue on here. I just need it because I don't mind these bits sort of sticking up. So I'm just literally just doing these little end pieces so that they're stuck in, because the other bits I want to have stuck out a bit. So that's just going to go literally right on the edge like that. So it comes outside the edge, but it's just got that bit of texture because we're going to cover that bit up. So I've got these, which were these little roses that I cut out from the paper, which I quite like. I think I'm going to put those in here. Now this was for a corner piece, so I can just, even though it was for a corner piece, it doesn't have to be. Just take it just a little bit smaller and don't have quite so much of the flower. And again, I've got a little bit of the paper on there. I think I might put that in the center and have that one down on there. Right, we'll have those three in now. So again, I'm just going to just take that bit there. I don't need it all on. So that's going to come like that. That's this little one. It's going to come in on the center like that. And then we'll have this one. Oh, started doing the noisy stuff again. As I was saying to you the other day, I've got a neighbour a few doors down who's doing some building work. Okay, so, and I keep putting it back on so you can see how it's building up. That I think is starting to look quite nice. It's going to come just a little bit outside on there. That's fine because I'm not doing a mount or anything on there, so that'll work. Now I've got my bird is going to be my sort of central focus point like that, but I still want to add some other little bits and pieces in here. Now I've got this little tiny piece of fern here. I quite like those, so I'm going to try and just cut some of these out. And I think I'm going to just give it a little bit of a, just take it down like that so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take that piece there, take it up on there, and we'll take this piece in like that because I don't want it all out. Okay, so that's quite nice. I could actually put that down the bottom, but I think I'm going to have some of it in on here like that. That's quite just a nice little tiny piece in there. I do like this piece because that's on the edge, and I might just take that and put that down at the bottom. So I just need to cut it out a bit like this. Okay, and I'm just going to do just a little bit of what we call fussy cutting round in on here. So just a little bit, not overly, because I don't want it to be, it's very, if you're somebody who's like a great fussy cutter, then that's fine. You can go through all of that, but I know that a lot of you that follow me don't like fussy cutting, so I try and do it as simply and easily. I just thought I might have been out of camera then. As simply and easily as I can without it being overly done. And I just want that to just come in at the bottom of the card. So I've got these bits coming through. I'm just going to take this round like that. So that's got to come in like that on there, hasn't it? So do I put that in and have this in over the top? Because you can still see that little bit of thistle through, can't you? I think that might work, although I think I quite fancy it coming down. No, I do. I want it to come there so it just pokes through. Okay, so I think we're going to have that there. I need to balance it a little bit, so I think I'm going to have some of these little fun ones. And again, you can see these are just little tiny scraps of paper, but it doesn't matter because, again, if you want to have, so for example, you're doing a tiny little sentiment or something, a little piece like this is perfect for just doing the sentiment on. So this is just going to come in on the bottom like this, I think. That's going to come in sort of in on the center. Yeah, that's going to work. I'm going to glue these down before I turn around and go, oh, I don't know whether I like that. It's one of those things with a lot of mixed media. You have to just go with it because you can always add something else on if you don't like it. So it's just about working and keeping sort of keeping going, and then you find, so this is going to come just off, and I am going to be trimming this down just a little bit because otherwise it's not going to, so it's just going to come like that. But I am going to just that little tiny bit at the bottom that is a completely bit too much of an overly bit, and then that just sticks at the bottom quite nicely. Okay, so we've still got that tiny piece of thistle. This is still going to go in like this on here. Okay, and I'm still not putting it down yet because there's other bits and pieces that I've got that I think that I might use. I don't think I'm going to use any more of these. I could take a little bit of a leaf down there, couldn't I? Oh, there's this tiny little piece of flower. I actually quite like that. So I'm going to take this tiny piece of flower, and that's just going to come up in that top corner. Like that, because that will go just there. Because then that balances up. I don't want to do all of the corners, but just that one there, I think just fills in a little space, doesn't it? So just put that up in there like that. And that just gives a little bit of colour coming out on there. Okay, so this can come, I could take it right in like that if I wanted to, couldn't I? Haven't really decided where I'm going to put this paper or not. I don't want it to be too sort of uniform, but I think that might be, that's my bird, which is my center focal point. Okay, so I have taken, there's the little word love in on here, and I quite like that, but I want to do it in black because I want to add just some little bits of this across the paper to just give a little bit of extra something. So I'm going to take one like that, one like that, one like that. So that's 3. I think that'll work. Because I've got this little sentiment that's laugh every day. It's got live, laugh, love, and I just like sort of cutting it down a little bit. So I think that might just work quite nicely. Do I want it in? Right, I'm going to put that in like that. Oh, I've got my ribbon, haven't I? So where am I going to have my ribbon? I'm going to have my ribbon just sort of so it tucks in over the top like that, maybe. And maybe just a couple of bits underneath where the bird is. This is where we just sort of look and play with a couple of bits. I don't want it to be too, I'm going to take it down this way, I think, and just have it cut and probably frayed a bit. So we only want it to be about that long on there. And then I've got another piece like that which could be a bit longer, but what I want to do is I want to try and fray it a bit. So let's see if we've got, yes, that's going to be frayed. I don't want it to be, as I say, looking too sort of uniform, so I'm just taking some bits out of the bottom here so that it comes and looks a bit sort of frayed. And I might be able to take some out of the edge as well, or is it, I think it's seamed on the edge, so that's fine on there. And I'm going to do exactly the same off the other side, so just fray it a little bit. Oh, that's quite nice. Oh yes, like that. Right, make sure that it's not all the way, but that'll do to there. So that's this. Wait, wants to come down all the way, doesn't it? Let's take this bit off like that, and I need to make sure that I've taken that piece so that it doesn't come anymore. Take that off, come on. And then I'm just going to take that bit that's got that long sort of stringy bit on, but that gives me just a bit like that, which is, that's nice. I wonder if I can get any more on here, and that'll fray off. Might do. Doesn't really want to on that side, does it? On this side. Let's take this up a bit. Yes, that'll take it up a bit. So I'm just taking it so that it just frays a bit. I don't want it overly frayed, but just enough, and little bits of fluff everywhere, but just blow those bits off. I just want that to come in like that and go in on there. Okay, so I've got to find some way of sticking that down. In fact, I'm going to staple it, because I think if I staple it, I know it's not going anywhere. So bear with me a second while I get a very long stapler here, which is very good for going into corners. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to do it before we stick it down, so I don't want it to go right through the paper. So these two little bits here, I'm just going to take my stapler through like that and hopefully pop it through. There we go. Okay, so that's just attached it like that, which is quite good. Doesn't matter if it comes out at a bit of a jaunty angle, because that's fine. I can always sort of adjust it as we go, but that I think looks quite good. Okay, so I'm now going to stick this on here because I'm quite happy with that now. And as I say, I can always just stick the other bit in. So let me just pop this in there like that. That's going to come in just sort of about there like that. And then that's going to come in. It's just off slightly, isn't it? Do want it to be just in. So I'm going to take a little bit of glue in on here and just see if it will just take it in on that corner like that. That's fine. It'll just work on there, but at least I know the top's done. Put that in like that, and that can just go like that. So that just adds just a little bit of texture in on there, which I quite like. My bird is going to come in. What's going to have him down like that? I think I'm going to have him across there so his head just covers it, and he's going to have to go in with some dimensionals, and I also want to have this on here. So instead of laugh every day, I'm just taking that out of there. Say my apologies for the noise outside, but we are still in a heat wave and I can't really do anything about, so every day can go down on there. And then I want, do I want laugh in there? No, I don't. I want that love. So this love that we had on here, right, excuse me now, I'm just going to shut the door because it is getting a bit overly noisy. Gets to the point sometimes where they're doing so much drilling. Sometimes it lasts only a few seconds and other times it goes on for ages. I think they're drilling down to Australia. I really do. They're literally, whoops, that's better. So when you're doing it, you can see you literally go down and up, because then you, apart from I've just missed that bit at the bottom. So I don't want to press it overly hard, because otherwise it just doesn't look, oops, took that off completely. Oh, that's fine. The bottom bit doesn't, the loop isn't on there, so that's fine. There's me thinking there's a little loop piece at the bottom, but there isn't. So I can take this love out. I've got quite a few of them actually. I could use another one if I wanted to, but those are saved for another day. Go into my little bag, so I've got stuff on there, and then I can just put this on here. I think, yes, I think that it needs to be fairly close to it, I think, because I'm going to do some words. So that's got to go down with a bit of a foam pad on it, because it's got to be going over the top of those things. So let me just grab my foam pads. Oops. And it's me throwing stuff all over the floor. Okay, so I'm just going to put some little pads in on here. I want to have one really down on there, so it comes down on that bit. Take those off. And then that bird's going to come in just so that his head just comes over that piece on there. I think I need to have, did I have a piece in underneath on there? I did. So that's going to come in like that. We need to put my words in, don't I? So let's put this, that's my love. And these literally were just little scrappy pieces with the bird as the focal point. So we can have love in on there. And we can have the everyday down. In like that. Whoops. Getting sticky again. So that can come in like that. My bird's coming up like that. I'm just making sure he's a bit, I think I need to have a little bit of extra on this bit, because he's going down at a bit of a jaunty angle, and I don't want him to go down at a jaunty angle, and that's because I haven't got any little foam pads underneath where his tail is to stick that up a bit. So let's put this underneath here. Take that end bit off, and that should put that up a bit more. That's better. As I say, I didn't have anything where his tail was, and that just made it a little bit, that's a little tiny one as well. I'm going to do that further down on his tail, just to make sure that he's at the right sort of angle, because otherwise it'll end up with it being, let's take that paper off, and that can just go down there. That's fine. So that's got that on there, and then I'm going to put it just straight onto a white card base like that, so that it's got that sort of framework round it. But what I need to do is I need to make sure that I've got a little frame thing going on there. So I'm going to take my black, have I got them out on the desk? I think I might have. Where have I put them? My Pebeo markers, there they are, right in front of my eyes. So these I use a lot. Sorry, Posca, not Pebeo, Posca pens, because they give a really nice, crisp, dark, matte colour. I've still got a little bird left, haven't I? I was going to sort of pop him down, but I think one bird's enough. I think, as I say, it's quite easy to over egg things. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from the top because I find it easier that way. I'm just going to take it down. And I just do a little bit of a little bit like that on the border, because by doing that it helps me if my lines aren't straight. So just going to take it down here, and I'm not going to do it all the way through. I'm going to do it up to this line here, and then I'm going to take it from there like that. Take it from there. Just by doing a little sort of zigzaggy lines, doesn't matter if your lines aren't straight, because your eye goes to the little zigzags and doesn't go to the fact that the line's not completely straight, because it looks as if it's supposed to be like that. Then we take it like that. Okay, then if I then put that in onto this card base like that, you've got, and this piece just comes out on the side, but that gives you a really rather lovely mixed media card with some stenciling and all sorts of bits and pieces going on. And I think it looks rather fun. So let me just bring that up a bit so you can see it a little bit more clearly. So there we are, that's what we've got today. So I hope you enjoyed that. And as I say, you can change it up with anything that you've got. Just take some of the ideas from it. So thank you so much for watching me. As always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.